Hi, I'm Amy O'Donnell, Communications Director for Texas Alliance for Life, and I'm standing here in the Capitol with our Executive Director, Dr. Joe Pojman. We've spent quite a few days here at the Capitol this week, haven't we? It's been busy, nonstop. We have some very exciting things that are happening with some of our legislative priorities, and that's what we want to share with you today. And so first, I want to ask you, Dr. Pojman, as far as our top priorities go, what exciting things have we seen take place this week with those moving forward in the legislative process?
Thanks, Amy. We have some sensational news to give to everybody. We've had a lot of activities this past week and the previous weeks. Our top two priorities, the Human Life Protection Act and the bill to require protocols for safety regulations for chemical abortions. They're both moving very well. Let me give you an update on those. First of all, the Human Life Protection Act has passed the Senate. This is the bill that is a complete ban on abortion beginning at conception, fertilization, that goes into effect when the Supreme Court overturns Roe versus Wade and Planned Parenthood v. Casey. So that's huge. That has already passed the Senate. Senator Paxton has authored that. That has come over to the House. The House companion, House Bill 1280 by Representative Giovanni Capriglione, just got passed out of committee last night, the House Public Health Committee. So that was yesterday evening, just voted out. We expect those bills will both soon be in the Calendars Committee. That's the committee that sets the agenda for the House. We're going to be asking you to contact your member of if he or she sits on the Calendars Committee. RU46, chemical abortion safety protocols. Great news on that. The Senate bill by Senator Lucio, he's from Brownsville, Senate Bill 394, that has passed the Senate, that has come over to the House. The House companion bill, House Bill 2337 by Representative Stephanie Click, that just also, both of those bills were voted out of the House Public Health Committee last night. So those are also, will be soon eligible to be set on the House floor for debate. Fantastic news on that. And let me point out that we just saw that the Biden administration acted on the RU46 protocols. They have weakened them enormously. The Biden administration is allowing abortion providers to mail abortion providers to women who self-induce at their own home. They call it home managed abortions. We call it mail order abortions. This is extremely dangerous for women who might have Rh factor problems or an ectopic pregnancy. This is a terrible public policy. The Biden administration is doing this. We predicted this would happen. This is the motivation for this bill. I'll point out that Texas already has some really good regulations that prevent mail order abortions. In Texas, the doctor in Texas must dispense the abortion pills. So the mail order stuff legally will not work, but this bill, Representative Click's bill and Senator Lucio's bill, increases the penalties to a felony. That means anyone who's trying to do this from out of state, very severe penalties in Texas, felony offense, and there could even be extradition. Our governor could, if it's being mailed from another state, can require that person who's doing it to be extradited and prosecuted here in Texas. We're talking about protecting the health and safety of women. This is really important.
That's right. You know, one factor there is that we know that the risk of adverse reactions to the chemical abortion drugs go up when a woman is farther along in her gestational pregnancy. And another key reason for her to have that in-person visit with the physician is just to make sure that she's within that window. And it is interesting that we advocate for this bill. For me personally, I think this often because, of course, we're pro-life from conception to natural death. But being pro-life means being pro-woman. And we want to do what we can do to protect the health and fertility of women, even as we advocate for life. So it's unfortunate that we saw the FDA and Biden administrations put politics over protecting women's health, but we here in Texas, we're going to do what we can to protect our women.
Excellent. Great point. Great point, Amy.
Well, we also have some exciting movements happening with some of our other top legislative priorities, one of which is our conscience protection rights bill for medical residents. We do not want our medical residents to feel like they have to perform abortions. By law, they're allowed to opt out. And so we want the notification there and just some other things there so that they know what their rights are. Joe, do you want to tell us a little bit more about that and where those bills are?
Thanks, Amy. Fantastic news on that front. Okay, we have a bill in the House by Representative Keith Bell, and that bill notifies residents and other medical workers. We're talking medical residents who are physicians, but they're training for their professional practice as an obstetrician gynecologist, and other medical workers. The hospital or their employee must notify them that by law, in Texas law, we have a strong provision that no worker has to participate in abortions. That's been in our law since the late 70s. But how many people actually know that's the case? This law requires workers to be notified of that law, so they can opt out if they choose to. That had a fantastic hearing this past Wednesday in a committee, the House Public Health Committee. We expect that to be voted out very soon. In the House, that was the House. In the Senate, Senator Donna Campbell, fantastic pro-life champion, she has Senate Bill 1439, and that goes even a step further and says that if a medical resident wishes to participate in abortions as part of his or her medical training, and the state of Texas must make that legal according to federal law. If they want to participate, they have to actually opt in to that. There's no expectation that they would have to, or that's the norm. It's an opt-in policy. That's very, very important. That has had a great hearing in a Senate committee, and it is set to pass the Senate, the full Senate, very soon. So we expect that will come over to the House and will be passed. Have a great hearing in the House and should go through too. Interestingly, that appears to be non-controversial in the Senate. We'll see. So far, no one is objecting to that, and
Amazing.
That's great public policy.
Right. That's right. Well, we also have a bill as a priority this session to close the loophole left open by Senate Bill 22. We know the city of Austin has largely funded abortion logistics services due to that loophole, so we want to close that. Can you tell us a little bit more about that, Joe?
Yes, thank you. You folks, you all recall last session, 2 years ago, the legislature passed this great bill, also by Senator Donna Campbell, and in the House it was by Representative Candy Noble. And it prevented the state of Texas, cities, counties, hospital districts, school districts, from contracting with any abortion provider or any affiliate of abortion provider. The principal one, abortion provider, is Planned Parenthood, but there are others. So that policy has worked very well just in Travis County alone. Just in Travis County alone, Planned Parenthood lost $1 million in contracts. So that was working well. However, the city of Austin got very creative and they got cute, and they decided to go around that policy, and they have appropriated more than $500,000 to pay for what they call abortion logistics support services. They are paying organizations to help women have abortions by providing transportation, housing, counseling, food, and so forth. They're paying contractors who are not abortion providers. They're not affiliates of abortion providers, but they are helping women to have abortions. Look, City of Austin, if you're going to spend $500,000, why not use it to promote alternatives to abortion? 82% of women who are pregnant end up giving birth to their babies. That's what the City of Austin could do. Just in Austin, like around the state of Texas, there are dozens of organizations that provide compassionate alternatives to abortion, Austin and greater Austin area. But we need to fix that loophole and prevent the city of Austin and any other municipality from paying for this abortion logistics support services. So that bill is Senate Bill 650 by Senator Campbell. It has already passed out of the Senate and is waiting to be heard over here in the House. Representative Candy Noble has House Bill 1173 that had a fantastic hearing in the committee called State Affairs that has been passed out. So we are hoping that we'll have action on the House floor very soon.
So you mentioned alternatives to abortion. We have an amazing amount of funding that goes towards that. Do you want to give our viewers an update on how that's shaping up this session?
We are so grateful to the state of Texas and the governors because they have advocated for compassionate alternatives to abortion in many ways. Our Medicaid program pays for more than half of all births in the state of Texas. There are many other things that women's health services that the state of Texas funds. Here's one that's really awesome, and I think it's the best funded program in the country. It's the Alternatives to Abortion program. It funds more than 100 compassionate, life-affirming organizations that provide alternatives to abortion. The House and Senate have measures in each of their versions of the bills that funds those. We are looking at something like $90 million for the next 2-year budget. So that is something like $45 million a year that would go to that, and that's up from $40 million a year from last time. The Senate has passed its budget. We expect the House to debate and pass the House version of the budget this coming Wednesday of next week. So we're very grateful that the state of Texas has stepped up to the plate and providing compassionate alternatives to abortion. Look, Amy, if the Supreme Court rules and reverses that terrible Roe v. Wade precedent and allows states to protect unborn babies from abortion, we are going to need alternatives to abortion, and Texas has just an abundance of agencies, hundreds that provide compassionate alternatives to abortion. We have the infrastructure, we have the resources in place to help women with compassionate alternatives to abortion, because very few women, we all know this, very few women seek abortion because it's something they want. It's not their first option. It's out of a perceived necessity, and the state of Texas provides alternatives.
They do a great job with that. Now, on to the last topic that we have for you guys today as far as our TAL Weekly Update goes. We at Texas Alliance for Life say that we are pro-life protectors from conception to natural death. And that means that some of the bills that we cover involve the end-of-life issue. This is a tremendously complex issue that we're grateful that we have ethicists and physicians that we work with to kind of shape our understanding of it. But we have some legislation moving forward on this issue, and then some that we're not supporting. And Joe, can you give us a little bit of an update on both of those?
Thanks, Amy. This is about protecting terminally ill patients when they're in the dying process from being forced to undergo painful, inhumane medical interventions that prolong their death, and sometimes it's demanded by a surrogate who's well-intentioned, but we still need protection about that. Now, a little background, Amy. Back in 1999, the legislature passed a bill, and it was passed unanimously, and it was signed by then pro-life Governor George W. Bush. It created the Texas Natural Death Act. That law, that was 22 years ago. The law has a very important provision called the dispute resolution process. Let's just say if you have a terminally ill patient and that patient is dying, you can provide interventions which may be very difficult for that patient to endure. We're talking about possibly a person who has terminally ill cancer. There's nothing that can be done. The family demands another round of chemotherapy. Maybe they're very well-intentioned, but the doctor can say, well, I can do that for your loved one, but I can assure you it's not going to change the outcome. This patient is dying. What it will do is be very difficult for your loved one to endure. It's going to make his last days or weeks very, very difficult. And I would recommend switching to palliative care, comfort care, and so that your loved one can reconcile with his or her death, you can reconcile with it. That's really a pro-life position. I don't think anyone argues that you have to take any amount of intervention to prolong your dying process a few more days or a few more weeks, if it's just not going to really do any good, if it's disproportional to any reasonable benefit. So that law has been improved over the years. And by the way, I was at the table that helped negotiate that back in 1999. It was supported by National Right to Life, Texas Right to Life, the Texas Catholic Conference of Bishops, numerous medical organizations, and that law continues to be supported by the Coalition of Texans with Disabilities. So this is not about discriminating against patients. This is not about doing anything immoral. This is about doing the moral thing and helping a patient die a natural death with dignity and without undue pain and suffering. There's a couple of bills that we support that would further increase patient protections. One of them is by Senator Lucio, again, that's Senate Bill 1944. It extends the amount of time that the doctor has to seek an alternate provider if that doctor feels it's medically inappropriate to do what's being asked. It has a number of other protections. So that's Senate Bill 1944. We support that. In the House, we support 3099 by Representative Garnet Coleman, and also House Bill 2943 by Representative James Frank. So those are bills that increase protections for patients. On the other side, unfortunately, there are some people very well intentioned, but they support gutting that dispute resolution process, forcing the doctor to do whatever the family demands, even if it means causing tremendous pain and suffering for a patient in a manner that's just not going to be proportionate to any realistic benefit. We can all pray for a miracle, but God can do a miracle at any time. Doesn't necessarily need more time to do that. So we oppose Senate Bill 917 by Representative Brian Hughes. Very well-intentioned senator from East Texas, great leader on abortion issue, on other topics, but his bill is just not well advised. In the House, it's House Bill 2609 by Representative Tan Parker. He is from Denton. These gut the dispute resolution process. We just don't think that's the way to go. By the way, Texas is in very good company. 26 states, including Texas, have a dispute resolution process. 26 states have them, and of those 26 states, Texas has head and shoulders, far and away, more protections for the patients and their surrogates than any other state. We want to increase those protections, not gut the process. That's a controversial issue. We have information on our website, texasallianceforlife.org, and we have an update where we're asking you to call in the House and the Senate. It's so important, Amy, as you know, explain how important that is. You can tell us how important it is to call your state senator and your state representative.
Absolutely. Just to your point, it is important also just to balance the family's autonomy with the patient's conscience protection rights. And so we're very much advocating, as Dr. Pojman said, for these end-of-life bills. And we do need your help. We want you to contact your senator. We have online a link when you go to our webpage that provides your representatives for you, so you can know who your senator is, who your representative is, as well as how to reach out to them. We even give you the wording on what to say. You're always welcome to use your own words also, but you're welcome to use ours if that's helpful for you. We hear often from representatives and senators that those calls that come in from constituents are highly valuable to them, and it really helps them to see what are top priorities for those of you who vote them into office. And they do listen, and it does encourage them to support these measures. And so we want to encourage you to reach out. You can do that today. You can do it this weekend, but we do want to ask you to do it soon as these bills move through, that they hear from you all where you stand on these pro-life bills.
Amy, that's exactly right. And if these pro-life bills get to the governor's desk for his signature, it's going to be because of you, the people who are watching, and make the calls to your state rep and senator. We have information on our website, Texas Alliance for Life, to help you do this. Right now, we're asking on this end-of-life issue to stop these very harmful bills. But we have just a few weeks of the legislative session. Nothing's passed yet on the life issue. We want to make sure the good bills do pass and the bad bills are stalled. And by the way, we're open. If you all have any questions on that issue, please give our office a call, 512-477-1244, or email us. We'll be happy to explain what these bills are. There's unfortunately some misinformation out there, and we'd love to help clear that up.
That's absolutely true. It is a tough issue, and so we're happy to help you kind of wrap your mind around it and understand it from the various angles that we look at it from. So, Dr. Pojman, I think that's it for this week's TAL update. We want to thank you all for tuning in, and we hope to see you back here again next week.